now have the pleasure of being joined by Syracuse basketball alum, current ESPN analyst, and the founder of the ED23 Foundation, Eric Devendorf. Eric, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us.
I appreciate you having me.
All right, so Syracuse, strong start to its basketball season, 3-0. What were some main takeaways from the first three games?
I think just obviously the defensive side of the ball, the defensive intensity, the versatility, the athleticism, being able to switch, pretty much 1 through 5, honestly. Guards are doing a great job of putting pressure on the ball, making it tough for the opponents to make decisions. And then I think the forwards have been great down there, especially William Kyle, just flying around, blocking shots. Getting deflections. And defensively, they've really been locked in the first 3 games. And then offensively, I think they continue to get better. I think early on in the season, if you could have your defense be before your offense, you're in a pretty good spot. So offensively, they'll start to click. And, you saw it in that second half versus Drexel. I think guys were able to get out and play with pace and get some good looks at the rim. And then obviously, like I said, their defense has been turned into offense on the other side of the ball. But, these first three games, they did what they had to do, winning by 30 and 40 points. And now, they have Monmouth coming up tonight. It's tonight, 9 p.m. And then that's when they hit the road against those big time opponents in Houston, Kansas, and whoever the third one will be in Vegas. So so far so good, but still a lot of work to do.
We are recording this on Tuesday. You mentioned the defensive intensity and then how that kind of relates into battling adversity against that Drexel game, exactly where I was going to go. It seems like a big emphasis this season has been on defense, and that necessarily wasn't the case last season and the year before. How do you think that the defense helped overcome the adversity against Drexel, and how important is it for a team to go through that early in the season and find a way to overcome it and not let it get to you?
Yeah, you want to be challenged. You want to have tests because, getting deep into the season, you're going to have those games, especially in a conference play. So the earlier you could get familiar with those situations, the better. But, second half defensively against Drexel, I think they allowed 14 points. That's unheard of. They were smothering, they were flying around, they're active, talking, communicating. Like we said, they already have the athletes, 6'8", 6'7", guys jumping around, flying around. So we haven't seen that the past few years at Syracuse. So now they have the players, and Coach Red and staff done a good job of getting the guys that they want for their vision and their plan going forward. And defensively, obviously, he's been talking about that the past few years. They want to be defensively stout. They want to set a standard. They want to have ball pressure. They want to be aggressive. They want to fly around. They want to have rim protection. Like you said, last year, they didn't have that. They didn't have good ball pressure. And they were getting drove by, and when they get drove by, they didn't have any rim protectors. So, this year they're doing a good job keeping guys in front. And then when they are able to get by, you got 2-3 guys waiting there, ready to swat your shot. So night and day from last year. But defensively, the second half, they were just intense. They first half getting out rebounded by 10. I think that's an effort thing, just getting to the ball. They're already more athletic and bigger. Second half, they realized that and really got after it.
It kind of seems like this is a team where, with the length and the shooting ability from a couple of these guys, that Coach Boeheim would trot out with the zone, and this team seems like it could be long and play the zone. But Syracuse obviously playing man to man, switching up things up. I mean, not even the talk of the town or the city, but the whole country kind of seems like it's talking about Kai, and rightfully so. I mean, he's been balling out, 17 points per game. He leads the team in minutes. The thing that's been impressive to me is how college ready he's been, and the transition has been seamless. Are you surprised by that at all? And he looks like a legit composed scoring threat.
Yeah, I don't think I would. I would say I'm surprised. I mean, you obviously look at his dad and who he's learned from, and the pedigree that he has, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time. So he's learned from one of the best ever. And you could tell by his confidence, by his patience, by his composure. He's mature for a freshman. He's head and shoulders above a regular freshman coming in and playing. He's a guy who can make decisions. He could obviously score on all three levels, and I think defensively he's putting in more effort than you would have thought of. So, he's a guy that he could come and score in bunches. I think with JJ coming back, that'll help him even more. The overall team play, just get another guy who could really score in bunches. He averaged 18 last year. But I think that JJ will come back and start just for team purposes and trying to keep everybody on the same page. And then Cayenne, he could come in off the bench and play 25, 30 minutes, and if it gets to the point where, he gets in the starting lineup, I wouldn't be surprised at that either. But he's just a kid that's coming in super confident, can really score the basketball. He's creative, and he's getting better, every game on the defensive side.
So you're not worried at all about how JJ is gonna fit in with this team after it's gotten a bit in a groove. Obviously JJ is a great player, but not too worried about how he'll fit in seamlessly.
No, just it's all about shot selection, right? Sharing the basketball. He's the guy you can insert in, and he's another scorer. If I was a coach, I'd love to have another guy who could average 20 points or go off and score 30 points. If one guy is not shooting the ball well, all right, we got another guy who could, do the same thing. So, Coach Red and staff, they're going to put him in there. They're going to make sure the situation and chemistry is together when he's in the game and whoever else is in the game with him. But it's always great to have another scorer, a guy who could really, come off and give you a 30 piece. So it's a good problem to have.
Maybe JJ can pull some of that Youngstown State performance from last year, personal performance, maybe not team performance, double overtime with Youngstown State, not good, but 37 points for him, or
Right.
38 points for him in that one. Pretty good. Another newcomer that has surprised me is William Kyle. Not by the tape, at least, what you saw with him do at UCLA and previous stops, but he has just been really, really solid for Syracuse. Different player than Eddie Lampkin from last year, but he's averaging a near double-double, 10 blocks on the season, almost eclipsed Eddie Lampkin's mark from all of last season. What stands out to you about William Kyle?
I just think his activity. Obviously, he's a freak athlete, head and shoulders above the rim. He's blocking shots. He's directing from the center position. He's communicating, and he's rim running. I think that's what Syracuse needed. They needed a guy who could really protect the rim. Who could play above the rim as far as lob threats goes and offensive rebounding, and then a guy who could really run the floor, rim run. That helps in transition. If you could just go rim to rim, they have to. Defense eventually has to look at you if you get a couple of those outlets, and then that opens up everything else for your shooters when they collapse in on you. So he's just done a great job of being great in his role, playing defense, communicating, and then really cleaning up on the glass on both ends.
A type of player that Syracuse hasn't had in a couple of years, probably since Jesse Edwards. A little different player than Jesse, but similar where they're athletic and long
Right.
and can dunk the ball and block some shots. One of the obviously big factor into this season, Syracuse's success is Donnie Freeman coming back, and he's looked like a star through 3 games. 17 points. What do you want to see from him that could put him over the top and put his name in draft contention?
I think just be aggressive, obviously be a monster on the boards. He only had 2 last game. So that's just, that's just an effort thing. He's a guy who could get double figure rebounds easily. Being aggressive around the rim, at the basket, mid-range area. He'll have those trail threes. He'll have those pick and pop threes. Those will be available. Just don't fall in love with it. I think if he's aggressive and uses his speed and athleticism to the rim, he'll be finishing, and then he'll also have opportunities at the foul line, which will open up his transition threes or pick and pop, whatever it may be. And defensively, I think he's definitely more than capable. Just getting block shots, flying around. You see early on, he's done a good job even guarding out in the perimeter and getting deflections, getting his hands on the ball, and a couple times got out and transitioned himself and got some dunks. So he's definitely a guy who's super talented. Just being aggressive, just staying locked in, and not settling. Don't fall in love with the jump shot. Don't settle. But if it's there, yeah, you're more than capable of knocking it down.
You've obviously had the transition between shooting in what you call a regular gym and shooting in the dome, which is a little different, the depth perception. Nate King's the lights out shooter last season has had a little bit of struggles coming into the dome this season and shooting the 3-point shot. What do you think he has to get? What do you think he has to do to get different looks? And is it just keep shooting, or is it trying to figure out different stuff for him to start knocking down some more threes?
Yeah, he's a shooter. He'll make shots. I think the biggest thing with him is he's not letting that affect his overall game. He's done a great job defensively, rebounding the basketball. He's been attacking, getting downhill. Strong finishes at the rim. So, despite not shooting the ball well, he's still adding in other areas of the game. Whether that be defense on the boards or getting to the basket and finishing. So he's a guy, like you said, he shot high mid 40s last year at Oregon State. He's going to make shots, and he'll get opportunities getting out in transition to float to the corner, to the wing, and then in half court when they execute, he'll get opportunities to get some catch and shoot looks, and he'll end up knocking them down.
Coach Autry and a couple of the players have mentioned the juicer station, where the guys at the end of the bench maybe not playing as much, but still providing a lot to a team. Back when you were playing, what were those vibes like, and how important were the guys at the end of the bench that weren't necessarily getting minutes, but still impacting the team?
Oh, super important. You want the bench engaged. You want a guy supporting, giving you energy, talking to you. That's what the whole team thing is. When you got, 12 guys or whatever it is, 13, 14 guys, you want everybody engaged. I don't care if they play 30 minutes or they play 30 seconds. That's all that helps in towards the goal of winning a championship. So, back when I played, everybody was engaged. They were yelling, towel waving on the bench, and I think that team has this. Just from what I've been hearing, they're hanging together off the floor. They get along. They like each other. And that helps with the on the court play. So, yeah, I've seen it early on from them. They're engaged on the bench. They're yelling. They're supporting their teammates, and that's a great thing to have.
Looking ahead to the Players Era tournament in Vegas, you've played in your fair share of big games against big opponents and big arenas like MSG. How do you think this team is going to fare against its first real competition against Houston and Kansas next week?
I think defensively, if they stay playing how they are these first three games, they could play with anybody. I think just the intensity, the ball pressure, and making it uncomfortable for these teams. If they could, be solid, keep guys in front, and then rim protect, and then rebound the basketball, not allowing second and third chance opportunities, they're going to be in the game. Houston, Kansas, obviously it's going to be a challenge defensively. They're going to make it tough on Syracuse. They're going to put ball pressure themselves. They're going to be physical. They're going to be on the glass. They're going to be contesting shots, especially Houston. But I think they have the players, Syracuse, to win the game and be in the game. So just executing offensively, because Houston and those teams, they're not going to turn the ball over as much as, Drexel and Binghamton and Delaware State. They're going to do a good job of taking care of the ball, which means you're probably going to have less transition opportunities, right? So you're going to have to execute in the half court sets and get some clean shots, get some driving lanes to the basket, hopefully finishing and knocking them down, and then getting some opportunities at the free throw line. But if you are able to get turnovers and get out and play fast, you want to take advantage of that. Easier looks in transition. But defensively, if they could stay where they're at, they're going to give themselves a chance if they play like that. They've been playing incredible on the defensive side of the ball.
There's definitely a buzz around this team, unlike the past couple of seasons, whether it's Okayan or leading the nation in scoring defense among fans in the community. There's definitely something going. Is there's that sort of energy around the alumni base where or people that you have talked to close to the team that Syracuse fans are and Syracuse alumni, basketball alumni are really getting involved and really hearing more stuff about this team and really care about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all talk. We watch the games. We're, like you said, we're alum and we're passionate about the program and the university, and we definitely see something special. We talk about it, the athleticism, the versatility, how guys can move around. Fast, quick. We got playmakers, you got shot makers, guys who can block shots, defend. So you're covering a lot of areas, and then obviously seeing them these first three games, how they're playing defensively. They're giving themselves a chance every game. So it's definitely some excitement. It's good to see, Syracuse back to being Syracuse. We're so used to success from this program, and look, every program goes through its ups and downs. So it's just good to see everybody get back on track and have fun playing out there and winning some games.
Thanksgiving's coming up. I know you are make a big impact in the community with your ED23 Foundation. You want to just tell us a little bit about that and what you guys are doing the next couple of weeks to help out the community?
Yeah, so the ED23 Foundation, the mission is to help underprivileged youth here in the community of Syracuse, and a lot of times that goes with adults as well. But we're getting ready for our turkey drive, which will be this Saturday, November 22nd, from 12 to 2 at the Boys and Girls Club at Central Village, which is 212 Van Buren. This will be our 8th year doing it. First year we started out, we handed out probably 75 turkeys in the back of the rescue mission, and now in our 8th year we'll hand out over 600 turkey dinners, so with the sides, all the fixings, and everything, just trying to help out the community. And we've been doing our fundraising and doing donation drop-offs for the last couple of months, just involving the community and getting people to drop off their non-perishable goods, and if they want to choose to donate monetarily, that's fine as well. You can go on the website, ed23foundation.org. We have a donate tab at the bottom. But people have been more than generous. They've been supporting, every single year. Like I said, we're in our 8th year, and we're just trying to make an impact and help out as many people as we can in the community, and also connect people to be able to do the same thing that we're doing, and help more people. That's the whole idea of it.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate you joining us and all your work with the community. Look forward to seeing you on the call for a couple more games the rest of the season. And thank you.
I appreciate you having me.